And by the way, I've been out on that island many times by myself, and it isn't fun. I will admit that it's not a fun journey.
Shannon, it's so good to see you. I know we're only a couple episodes in, but I am loving this season so far. I mean, how did you feel going into this season, and how do you feel now that it's wrapped and, filming is done?
Okay, well, first of all, going into this season, I was a little concerned because I hadn't spoken to Tamra in 2.5 years. So it was like, wow, I never, you just don't know how you're going to handle it. But and it's hard to watch because we filmed about a year ago. So it's hard to go back and watch what transpired, but we're in a good place today. So I'm continually reminding myself of that. Right now.
Were you nervous to see Tamra? Because like you said, it was 2.5 years at that point. A lot of stuff happened in between that and you hadn't talked. So were you nervous going into that, or were you hopeful going into the season?
I mean, I wasn't nervous. I'm a lot of things, but I never get nervous about things. So, but there was an awkwardness, when you don't speak to someone for that long of time, it's just kind of awkward. I was hopeful. I was hopeful that we would get somewhere. And at the beginning, like I was willing to say, I understand how you would feel hurt, but she wasn't willing to take that step. I think in this episode, she says, I did nothing wrong. So when you have someone coming at you, not taking any part of the blame, you think, where are we going to go from here?
So we do see this intense conversation that the two of you had in this upcoming episode. And, things were okay there, but took a turn on the boat. But watching it back, do you understand Tamra's side at all?
I understand that she was hurt because she was going through a lot at the time. And part of that was being let go when I was filming the show at the time. So I feel as though there was part of it taken out on me. But I did say to her, I sometimes when we were filming, I couldn't get right back to her, but I never ghosted her. I have 150 screenshots of conversations I had with her over the 2-month period before she said I was a fake friend. So it wasn't MIA.
Sure. I guess, did you feel awkward maybe a little bit too? Because like you said, you were still filming the show. She was let go. And,
Look, I understood how difficult it must be for someone to spend as many years as she did on the show and then not be a part of it anymore. I can't even imagine. And so, of course, she was my best friend. But for that reason, especially, I wanted to be there for her because I understood how painful that must be.
Right. Do you feel like you could have been a better friend during that time, or do you think that you were the best friend that you could have been?
For what was going on in my life at the time, yeah, I checked in with her all the time. There were, as I said on the show, there were periods because we literally were on an all-cast trip, and then the world shut down for COVID within a 3-day period. So in that time, where we weren't connecting, and then at the end of that 3-day period, she posted I was a fake friend, and at that point, as the podcast interviews and the trashing started, I absolutely ghosted at that point.
Yeah, no, I mean, what is your reaction to her calling you a drunk and a liar?
It's hard. It's hard. It's like, I know that that's not who I am. And my kids watched the episode with me and they were pretty upset about it. They're like, Mom, that's not who you are. And sometimes I feel that certain cast members keep trying to throw that label on me. And those are character damaging labels. I feel as though when I'm on the show that I will point out something unkind that a cast member's done, but I try to avoid putting, general characterizations out there about people's personalities because it's damaging.
Right. Where do you and Tamra stand now? Was it hard to get that friendship back? Because based on social media, it seems like the two of you, the Trace Amigas are back together. So was it hard for you to get back into that rhythm and flow of this friendship?
You know what you'll see actually as the episodes go forward, that once we did come to that, kind of agreement that we're going to become friends again, it was just an instant. It was like we were right back to where we were 2.5 years ago. So
do you feel like this friendship is stronger now than it was, or is it different?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a certain appreciation that we have for each other as friends.
Yeah.
Because we know what each other meant. I know what she meant to me as a friend. And we were best friends for, I think it was 6 years, so a long time.
Right. Do you feel like the show has gotten a new invigorated energy now that she is back? And I know Vicky comes back as well. Do you feel like this was the right choice to bring her and to bring Vicky back to the mix?
Absolutely. I mean, as you know, there is a certain feeling that the show had when I started the show, and I feel like we're back there.
Yeah.
I started in season 9, and I just kind of feel like I'm back in season 9 times.
I totally agree with you. Do you want Vicky back full time as well?
Hello, yes. See, I'll say see.
Was that because the two of you and Vicky didn't have as close as a relationship as well once she left the show too? Was that ever hard getting that relationship back on track too?
No, we did. We did have a relationship. Actually, it was when Tamra and I, then they kind of went off together. But it was a little bit easier to reconnect with her. But again, it's like there's just this unique relationship that the three of us have together. And it's just nonstop fun and a little bit silly. And I think we all really appreciate each other.
Definitely. And Taylor Armstrong, first housewife crossing over. I love that she's joining this group. What did she bring to this group? What kind of energy, what kind of vibe did she bring to this group?
Well, I think she brought an element of kindness to our group. And there's a part of her that's a lot of fun. She's up for doing anything. And so I had a lot of fun with her. Yeah. I love the silly parts of the show. Yes, you have your drama, but I like to be a part of the fun.
Mm-hmm. You and Heather start off on a good term this season, but I think you said in a different interview that maybe things get a little hairy between the two of you, that Heather is afraid of Tamra. Where do you and Heather stand, and how did she kind of fit into this mix now with Tamra back?
You know, I think that Tamra and Heather definitely have issues with each other currently. And I believe that I do as well. I don't feel as though they were resolved this season. So definitely there are topics that I want to discuss at the reunion. I'm already thinking about that.
Heather did say that she had a tough season. Was it because of, there was all the marriage rumors going around? Was it strained between the friendships? Why did you think that she had such a hard season?
I mean, you got to look in the mirror, don't you?
Was anybody by her side this season? Because it seems like even she and Gina drifted apart a bit.
I think at times she had people behind her, but for the most part, no.
Really?
No, she was on her own. And by the way, I've been out on that island many times by myself, and it isn't fun. I will admit that it's not a fun journey. Mm-hmm. But I at the same time, I try to take accountability for things that I have done that may hurt someone or might not be the most positive. So, and I'm not saying that Heather did a bunch of things that were wrong. It's just, I don't know, there was just not a meshing of personalities.
Yeah. Based on what happened to her this season, would you be surprised if she didn't come back next season?
I would be surprised if she didn't come back. Mm-hmm. I think she's here to stay.
She's here to stay. All right. What do you think? She's here to stay. What are thoughts on Jennifer, a new housewife? She seems to, she's got an interesting storyline. So what do you make of her?
Oh, and you haven't even heard the little bit of it. It's just, it's crazy. You can't script her life. So I think it's going to be very interesting for the audience to get to know her more. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's just things at every corner. There's something new.
Yeah. I think you said Gina disappointed you the most this season. Why would you say that?
She disappoints me the most every season. I think she holds me to a different standard. Mm-hmm. From the first season she was on, I was going through a nasty divorce and she was complaining that I didn't make an effort to get to know her. Well, let's flash forward 2 years later to you, Gina, when you were going through your nasty divorce. And do you get it now? I just feel like every season I end things on a good term with her. And then she starts doing press or she starts filming and then has a problem with me again. And I'm fine with that. You're not going to get along with everyone in life.
Right. No, that's true.
I'm kind of done making the effort.
Yeah. How did you feel about Tamra's husband, Eddie, saying that the only good thing about Shannon was David? How did you feel about that?
I was deeply, deeply hurt. It was a very hurtful thing to hear.
Yeah.
Very hurtful.
Have you talked to him since then, or was that the first time you heard it when you watched the episode?
It was the first time that I heard it on the episode, and they're on vacation, so I'm not going to reach out. I mean, he said what he said. Mm-hmm. I mean, he said some things about me seasons ago as well, that I suck the life out of people. So it's not like I haven't heard anything negative, but based on where I stand in my relationship with he and Tamra, it was hurtful to hear.
Yeah. Are you nervous about watching this season back, and maybe it'll be a couple steps back in your friendship with Tamra, considering what will be said that you didn't know was happening?
I mean, that always is the hardest part for me. I know what I filmed, but I don't know what everyone else is saying behind my back. And that's tough. That's tough for me because I feel as though I wear my heart on my sleeve. And a lot of times I wish I had a little bit of a thicker skin. But that being said, Tamra and I are in a good place right now. We have our Tracy Amiga show coming up. So we're going to be spending a lot of time together. And, I'm willing to focus on where we stand today and the good that has come out of our journey in the last year.
Definitely. I know that you and David have been seen a few times together at the graduation. Congratulations. It's so exciting for your girls. I mean, do you feel like this has opened the door for a better co-parenting relationship?
I mean, fingers crossed. I hope so. Because we have had zero co-parenting relationship, and I'm just hopeful that we can continue. Mm-hmm. Do I think we're ever going to be good friends? No, I do not. But I will do whatever it takes for the sake of my kids, because they don't need that added stress of being a go-between between the two of us. So we'll see.
Yeah. Did you ever imagine that the two of you would even be posing for pictures together?
No. He walked into the Quiet Woman, and I said, "You need to take a picture with me so we can send it to the kids." I had no intention of posting it. And then about a half hour later, he said he saw how excited the kids were. I said, he said, "You can go ahead and post it." And I had a big piece of food in my teeth. Really? That's the stuff that happens to me.
Do you still hold a lot of resentment towards him, or do you feel like you have moved on and kind of put that in the past?
I've moved on, but do I have feelings about my past with him? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And they're not all pleasant. But again, I have 3 beautiful kids that I am grateful for, and I'm going to focus on that positive part.
Definitely. How do you feel about being an empty nester almost? Is that really upsetting, or are you looking forward to it a little bit?
Yeah, it's a lot, and I'm going to be moving too. So it's going to be a lot of new for me. So part of me is excited. I'm excited to visit my kids in school and see where life takes me. Because I'm single, moving, everything's going to be new.
How do you like the single life?
I mean, it's good, and I'm okay with being by myself. And I think that that's a good thing for me to do right now. I did date someone for about a little over 4 months and it didn't work out. And, that was good. But I don't need to jump back into anything right now. I think that's best.
Right. Do you feel like you're kind of rediscovering yourself all over again, maybe?
I do. I mean, I'm focusing on my company, Real for Real. I'm focusing on the Trace Amiga show and focusing on my kids before they go to school. So I'm busy.
Yeah. Will it be tough for you to watch back this season because you were still with John? He's in the opening credits with you and everything like that. So is that going to be very difficult for you to watch back?
Well, we didn't speak for about 6 months after the breakup, but we are friendly right now for now. And because neither of us are dating anyone, so we can have that friendship. I don't know how long depending on one of us gets into a relationship, that'll be more difficult, but it is going to be hard. It's going to be hard for him too, because we broke up a week after filming ended. So that's why I said I was blindsided. That was just like the adjective I used to describe how I felt. And because I was there, you'll see there are certain things that were said this season, and it just took me by surprise.
Yeah, I know. Do you feel like you have closure in that relationship now, or do you feel like you still have any romantic feelings towards him, or do you feel like you've moved on from that? Because I know it's hard to be friends with an ex.
Well, I will say, and I think we both say this about each other, that I've never felt as strongly for another person in my life than I did for John, and he the same. But I think we both kind of have this understanding of I'm not going to take steps backwards. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to go forward in life.
Was it hard for you to hear Tamra saying that you and John were always in a drunken fight?
No, because we'd only been out with them twice, and one of them was a party I was hosting, and I had a bunch of people there. So it was just, it was hard. That whole conversation was hard to hear. Because there were inaccuracies in the description. So that was John and my issue was bickering and arguing about stupid things. We didn't have like big, serious abuse, cheating, like major issues. We just argued.
Yeah. Were you hopeful that after, the breakup that maybe you guys could work through your issues? But like you said, you took a 6-month break from even speaking to one another.
No, we're not getting back together.
That is done. You said, you did say that the relationship is an issue on the show this season. Is that with the other girls or just with you and John in general?
The other girls brought it up, and it's like, you don't even know. I mean, I learned after having one phone call with Gina in season 15 to never talk to her about my relationship again, and with Emily as well. So when I get very heated when people are talking about me and they don't know what they're talking about. So when I heard that a bunch of people that don't know anything are weighing in to judge my relationship, it's just maddening.
Right. You've been through a big divorce on camera and, the fallout and things like that. Do you have any advice for Kim and Kroy going through a divorce that's playing out in the public?
There's a lot of hurt that goes on with divorce, and, a lot of arguments that, sometimes you want to defend yourself and you want to give details about what has happened. And I tried not to do that in my divorce. And I think that that's the best advice. Don't air your dirty laundry in the press. Someday your kids are going to read that. And so try and keep things as private as possible. And you got to just stay strong, because it's hard. It's hard to be fighting, but it's so much harder when the world is judging you and weighing in on every single thing that happens.
Yeah, I can't imagine. That's got to be extremely difficult. Besides the drama and everything that happens this season, I'm sure there's a lot of fun moments. So what is that one moment that you can't wait for fans to see this season?
Okay, well, I mean, when you have Vicky, Tamra, and I in Mexico, and we're the Tres Amigas, there's some fun there. I mean, and one of the nights we just kind of relived the old Tres Amiga days, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm excited for people to see that.
Definitely a lot of tequila.
Mucho.
Mucho. For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.